Welcome back to Limbus Company Patch Note Analysis. I'm Kyle, and this week, pretty simple patch notes. We've got a single new identity, that being Dieci South Section 4 Rodion, and we've got a couple other various changes being added in the patch notes. So let's just get started with the new unit, Dieci South Section 4 Rodion.
Limbus Company. 아침부터 모여서 연구시키는 거 하루 이틀은 좀 봐주면 안 되나? 머리에 제대로 들어오지도 않는데. 어떻게 이렇게 강할 수 있냐고? 아휴, 그 간단한 말조차 모르니까 이렇게 당하지. 잘 들어. 지식이 곧 힘이다. 무지 외에 암흑은 없나니. 그 뒤가 뭐더라?
Dieci Rodion is our first look at the 10th association in the world of Limbus Company, being the association based on Italian, and you can definitely very clearly tell that the inspiration is supposed to be, well, Catholicism, but more specifically, the Vatican. Now, this unit has its own new mechanic called Insight, which displays the rank of the last skill discarded by the unit with this effect, base number 1. So, what this is saying is basically whenever you discard a skill, it'll update the insight value to be whatever that skill is. For the skill 1, it'll change to insight 1, skill 2, insight 2, and skill 3, insight 3. So it's effectively just kind of a little bit of a ease of access type keyword, I guess. Because like they could just say like, oh, gain X equal to the value of the last skill done, but it's like this instead, just for a little bit of simplicity, to give it a general overall feel. Now, if we'd actually take a look at the symbol for Insight, we can see that it's very low quality because, you know, Twitter images, but that's fine. You can see that the symbol actually includes the logo for Dieci Association on this little book, that being, it's a combination of an X, which is, of course, the Roman numeral for 10. Of course, Roman numerals makes perfect sense for a Catholic-based association. And it's also got a little key on front, which is taken from the Holy See coat of arms, basically the Vatican coat of arms. And it's effectively the key to heaven, which was promised by Jesus in the Bible to Peter. But yeah, moving on to the active skill itself, you can see that Insight is very heavily used, and of course, in case it isn't obvious, Insight and Discard is a big focus of this unit, but it's also got a fair bit of tanking and sinking support on it. And of course, before we get into this, the first thing you'll notice is the fact that a skill 1 Gloom and a skill 2 Envy, you can kind of just tell this identity was made for Rhymeshank, which means it could be really good in Fracture Early too. So if you still haven't beaten that and are willing to, you know, start from the beginning with a couple new units, this definitely seems like it wouldn't be a bad Rodion, depending on how strong it is, of course. But starting with the skill 1, Illuminate Thy Vacuity, is a 3-coin Blunt Gloom. You can see this unit has a lot of coins on all of her skills. So what you're going to notice is all 3 of the skills gain Insight times X% of max HP shield if the skill is discarded. Now chances are the actual X value is going to vary from skill to skill. Most likely the higher level skills give you even more shield based on your Insight, and the lower level ones do less, because this unit definitely seems to be built around trying to discard. Well, it really tries to benefit you from discarding high level skills instead of low levels, which is kind of what Molar Office is more so focused on. Then you can see on use, if Insight is X or higher, gain coin power by Insight minus Y. I assume how this works is basically it's mostly likely going to gain coin power by Insight minus 1. I don't know why they'd say Y there when it's kind of obviously going to be 1, which means if you've got Insight 2, it'll have plus 1 to all its coins, and if you're Insight 3, it'll probably be plus 2 to all coin power. Although there's a decent chance that is an uptie 4 thing, and it's just going to be a straight up plus 1 coin power for Insight of 2 or higher at upties 1 through 3. And on hit with a 3rd coin, lower the user's stagger threshold by X. Shockingly enough, I think this is the first time we've had a stagger threshold change that's just a set value instead of being like, oh, a percentage of damage dealt. Now, this does mean it's going to be very important what this X is, but this is a tanky unit. There's a decent chance there's only going to be a single stagger threshold, so Maybe there is 2 for all we know, but this is the only time on this entire unit that there is any stagger skill change. It's just a minor little effect to make the skill 1 more beneficial. It is a 3-coin skill 1, so decent chances are it's going to have pretty bad rolls, but decent damage output if you can manage to win a clash. But moving on to the skill 2, Weight of Knowledge, 4-coin NV blunt skill. Once again, gain insight times X% of max HP shield when it's discarded, and on use, discard the skill at the lowest rank in all this unit's skill slots. Simple enough, basically the most basic type of discard. And on use, this slot gains aggro next turn. If the target has a certain amount of sinking, gain clash power plus Y, and on hit with the 4th coin, inflict some sinking. Definitely a very simple skill. It doesn't seem like it, but it's mainly the fact that coins 1 through 3 don't even have any on-hit effects. Pretty much all the effects on this skill, on this unit in total, are on use, based on insight. The actual coins themselves don't seem to matter beyond just kind of doing the damage. And of course, this is where you can see a little bit of sinking, not a lot of sinking, that's the thing. But if you use, say, Corroded Rime Chain, get a stupid amount of sinking count on an enemy the turn before this, then you'll just be able to gain some clash power and weight of knowledge. You'll be able to burst a lot of sinking from that person, and inflict a little bit more if they still have sinking count afterwards. So definitely seems like it could be good. We're definitely going to have to see. Aggro is always nice, that's for sure. But then moving on to the skill 3, Excruciating Study, 4-coin sloth blunt. Gain insight based on, what did I say? No, gain shield based on insight, of course. Discard 2 skills of the lowest ranks in all this unit's skill slots. Gain aggro next turn, and if the target has a certain amount of sinking, gain coin power. Instead of clash power, it's coin power for this one, so it definitely seems it's super beneficial. And it's based on sinking on an enemy on use, so even if they've only got, say, a single sinking count, if they still reach that certain sinking threshold, you'll still gain a boost to all 4 coins, since it's not like every single coin checks. And then, of course, the first coin inflicts some sinking count. If we're lucky, the first coin inflicts, like, say, 3 sinking count, just to make sure that the entire attack doesn't, ruin the sinking. Although we'll have to see. And the 4th coin also inflicts even more sinking count. So just kind of more, like, sinking, more of the same that you've seen in its entire unit. This unit's got a very simple gimmick. But then, to tie the entire insight thing together, the thing you'll notice is the fact that, like, well, you're unlikely to get a high level of insight because of the fact that you always discard your lowest rank skills. Well, where that changes is with the defensive skill, Fixated Study. Discard the skill of the highest rank in all this unit's skill slots. So if you have a skill 3, you can use your defense instead, and then you'll discard the skill 3, meaning that you'll just gain a big insight bonus. And based on how this works, it's hard to tell, but it seems like insight stays until it gets changed. It's not like a one-turn only effect. It'll just always be insight, because it starts at 1, so chances are it's just always going to be present on Dieci Rodion. So this means you could discard your skill 3 with your defensive skill, and then if you keep on using your skill 1, you're never going to discard anything else, and therefore you'll just end up keeping your insight at high level. Which could be pretty good, depending on how beneficial it is to have a high insight skill 3, or skill 1. But if it is actually going to be plus 2 coin power to all the coins, then this could definitely be the way to play it. And of course, Slot also gains aggro next turn. Pretty simple defense. And because this is a very defensive-based unit, this is probably going to be a pretty decent value block. Now, the passive is also very interesting. Incandescent Enlightenment. Gain blunt damage up next turn based on the damage this unit took this turn, shield damage included in this calculation. So definitely the kind of unit that you want to get hit a little bit, especially because of how much its shield it seems like you can build up by just using your skills in general. And if this unit has X insight at the end of turn, remove the negative effect applied to self. This one's phrased a little weird. I assume it'll just remove a random negative status effect from self, similar to Grosshammer Mersault's passive. But, because I mean, there's no actual negative effects she inflicts to herself with her own gimmick, so that's probably what it is. And the support passive is more of the same. Missionary of Knowledge, when out with highest max HP, gains blunt damage up next turn based on the damage they took that turn. Could be really good for stuff like soloing, because a lot of the people that are good for solos are pretty tanky. Like, you could try using this passive for, say, Keikor Pong Lu, assuming he can actually build it up. We'll have to see how easy it is to trigger, but like, he's got a blunt attack, could be beneficial. Something like Mariachi Sinclair, or like even like Grosshammer Mersault. There's a couple like tanky blunt units that you could use this passive for like solos for some good blunt damage up. And even not for solos, just for buffing some high HP tank units. Well, let me see just how much it is, because it doesn't say the cap, it doesn't say how much damage you need to get a single blunt damage up, but this could be very good, especially given how all three of this unit's skills are blunt. Overall, very interesting thing. I guess one other thing to mention is the fact that Insight is in fact one of the 4 work types in LobCorp, which could imply we're eventually going to get, instinct, attachment, repression things, possibly in this association, since the 4 work types are based on the 4 virtues. So that could just be the general focus of this association, and this Rodion in particular is focused on, well, the Insight stuff. But we will have to see. I'm very excited for this. I'm excited to see more discard stuff. We are going to be getting this at roughly the same time we are going to be getting, well, our first discard unit, that being Molar Yisong, who's going to become available the day before this update drops. But then, let's move on to the patch notes now. Of course, normal maintenance time, new target extraction Dieci Rodion, and target extraction Gregor. It seems like we've finally done a target extraction for all 12 Sinners, so now we're looping back around to the very first one. Which means, well, that's pretty cool. I mean, I guess it just means that, like, it's been 28 weeks, roughly. Yeah, I guess that does check out, more or less, yeah. Huh. Weird to think about, that's for sure. But once again, it's always nice for a little bit more daily extractions for people who, use the paid lunacy. And also, just if you need a good Gregor unit, if you want one of the Gregor 3 stars, you can just pull for it till you get it. And especially given the fact that G-Corp Gregor is, Season 1, so you can't get it with shards, if you don't have it, it could be very beneficial to pull on that Gregor banner. Major changes, added some text to Refraction Road Line 2, make it a little more obvious, and in-combat ego selection UI changes, more changes to this. So now, when you select an ego, it'll actually show your changing resistance values, which is very nice, that's for sure, because a big issue is the fact that your actual, Sin Affinity resistance is changed when you use egos. It's kind of not displayed very well in fights. So the fact that you'll actually be able to see that when you select ego animations will make that mechanic feel a lot more important, especially for stuff like Refraction Railway, where you need to be more careful with your things. If you can get some good resistances and take some attacks instead of needing to clash with them, can be very beneficial. And yeah, I think that's a pretty good change. They're also going to be... They also clarified the 2 new molar identities we're going to be getting. After the daily event ends, they'll just be added to the... They'll just be added to the dispense menu so you can buy them with shards. So if you miss too many days, don't feel like you're doomed. It just means you'll be able to get Molar Otis a couple days late, but not too many days. And because of the fact it is considered a Season 2 event identity, Season 3 you won't be able to get it, but then Season 4 you will be able to get it again. Here are the new banners and business card decos that are going to be added to Refraction Early 2 mid-October. Now, they're still not being added this update. They're still going to be added mid-October, so, don't feel the need to do Refraction Early 2 in under 150 turns yet. This is what they look like. They definitely look pretty cool. Definitely like a logical continuation of how these ones looked. Now, it's definitely up to you whether or not you think it's worth trying to get sub 150 for these rewards. And, I mean, I'm definitely going to be doing it, that's for sure. But it definitely is cool. It definitely could be worthwhile, especially given how stuff like this new Dieci identity is probably going to be super good for Reaction Relay 2, because syncing, rhyme shank type stuff is super good. So having an identity that pairs with that pretty well, if she's got a good damage output, definitely could benefit the Reaction Relay 2 progress. Bug fixes, a lot of bug fixes. The main ones to note is the fact that they've actually fixed Charge Barrier. In case you didn't know, Charge Barrier has been bugged for the last week or so it hasn't been working, which kind of is a significant nerf, especially to, Warp Honglu, who could be pretty beneficial in Refraction Relay 2 for Charge Teams, so now if you want to do that, you'll be able to after this update. And also, there's just been some, minor changes here and there, fixes, I guess I should say, fixing a lot of bugs for Refraction Relay 2 as well, since there's a lot of random minor stuff still sticking around, which should make it hopefully better to deal with, that's for sure. And of course 300 lunacy when the update comes out, normal notes. But that's all. I guess there is one other thing Project Moon posted today, but I didn't include it in this. But they have been apologizing, trying to clarify the situation the whole Villamori situation, which is still going on. Once again, you can check that out yourself. I'm not going to cover it. I think it's definitely a step in the right direction. Project Moon isn't out of, like, hot water, that's for sure. But as long as they, keep up, like... Well, as long as they're just more thoughtful in the future, I think it should all be made a lot better. I don't know. I'm not the best person to ask this kind of thing. I'm usually too quick to forgive, just in general. Especially when it comes to something I care about as much as Project Moon and their works. But, I mean, just let everyone make their decision for themselves. I don't know, just be kind. But that's all I'm going to say on that topic. You can make your own judgment. Oh yeah, I guess the one other thing to keep in mention is the fact that Friday morning is going to be the Tokyo Game Show showcase. I'm going to be streaming that live. Feel free to join in for that. We can watch it together. We can see what they're going to do. No idea what it's going to include other than, preview stuff for Kanto 5, which could be super cool. Possibly showing some new identities, new egos, stuff like that. Maybe more changes in general, stuff that we don't know. That'll be cool. But yeah, I do think that'll be all. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.